I appreciate you coming on today. Been looking forward to this one. You, as you put it to me on Twitter, one of the most underrated businessmen in the NBA. So excited to dive into that a little bit deeper.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been like
To
for
so
for years like keeping it under wraps. So just it's one of those things where you just
so I got.
you what's up?
I think we're like delayed by a few seconds, so don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's just like you said, kind of like one of those underrated guys. Just like on the court, right? So just try to like stay under the radar. Just make sure I'm doing all the work that needs to be done behind the scenes, and just growing this empire. Just like trying to continue to grow my career and grow my game and stuff like that. So it's the same way.
Yeah, yeah. No, business, basketball, all relates pretty well. Now, I've got to start here first. So I was playing pickup the other day, first time in a few years since college. Played pretty well. I can still shoot. My dribbling's a little off, but man, I'm sore like these next couple of days, and I just got to ask, like, how have you been able to play for 17 years at the level you've been, like in the NBA? How have you done it? What's gone into being able to stay at that top level for so long?
Man, it's just like just like over the course of time, like how like teams invest time in you and they invest money into you, and you invest into these companies and stuff like that. It's the same way with investing into your body. For me, like I've always just invested time into the preparation of it. Time into the game, time into getting into the weight room and making sure my body's up to par, and then also being able to adapt. Like over the course of time, obviously, like when you first start off in the league, you're just training, and then like as you get older, you have to start dwindling that down and start figuring out how to preserve your body but still stay in shape. So I think I've had a happy medium between the both, just like figuring out when to train, when not to train, figuring out like when to recover, when not to like do so much on the recovery side, but do more on the skill. So, and I've had a good group of people around me, just making sure that like I'm always doing the right things at the right time, and then also just always talking to my trainers and the guys that I work with about like when we want to approach this thing or when we want to start back, when we want to do this. Like, okay, what weeks to take off? What like when are you reporting? So we can be, we can give you like a few days off before you report, so you can be fully ready and fully 100%. So just understanding like the times, and then like I always tell people like about like the health portion of it. Like you do all your work in the summer, so you don't have to play catch up during the season, and that's what I do. I do a lot of work in the summer to where I don't have to play any catch up during the season. Like I'm coming in shape, I'm coming in ready, to play a full 82 game season each and every year, and that's simply because I put a lot of time into this thing into the summer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we were speaking a little before, and I'd love to kind of rehash a little bit for everyone listening. But you have two sons, 12 and 9 years old, and they're kind of about to go through the AAU circuit. They have some big ambitious goals. Kind of just rehash through like some of that conversation of what you're doing for them, how you're guiding them, and some of the advice you're giving them, and what some of their plans are. Because I think it's super cool of like how you're influencing the younger generation of even your own kids. But then we'll kind of get into later of like on the business side as well.
Yeah, so with my 9 year old, he's just getting into it. So he's just playing basketball. He half gives a shit, he half doesn't. So so he's like still kind of in and out of it. So but he likes to play. So we're just giving him the opportunity to just play and just have fun. While I'm trying to get him back into that serious nature. Like with him being 9, he's like so much bigger than some of the other kids. So right now it's like they just stick him under the basket and let him play like Shaq down there. So I'm like, look, man, he got way too much to his game to be just sticking him down there. So now I get out of dad mode and get into like coach mode. Like, all right, look, he need to be doing this, and this, and it's like so. But for my older son, it's more so like he's more so into it than my younger son. So he's like really, really like getting into it, and he really, really wants to, be one of the best players. So, we're just talking to him and we're explaining to him. We have these conversations all the time where, it's me and his mom in the car talking to him, and we're talking to him like, he's a teenager already. So it's like, instead of us talking to him like a 12-year-old, we talking to him like he's 16, 17 years old. So we're like, look, like, you're going to have to put time in, you got to put work in. Like, this takes, this is a process. Like, you got to understand this. Like you can't be at the house for 6 7 hours playing video games when you need to be in the gym working. So he's getting to start understanding that. But like, we're having conversations to where like now we're asking him, okay, because we want to give our kids the opportunity to make their own decision. We're asking them like, look, like, what you want to do? And he's like, man, I don't want to go to college. Like, I want to go either straight to the pros, or I want to either go overseas, or I want to do OTE. Like, he's thinking about all those different things. G League Ignite. Like, he's thinking about those types of playing fields, as opposed to thinking about the typical and generic, going to college and then going straight from college, after 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years. Like, he's like, look, I'm trying to get there as soon as possible. So we sit there and we talk, like, and one of the crazy parts is like I think he really, really starting to get it, because like I had started showing him like what the salary can be for him after he's played a few years in the league, what his extension, a max extension could be, or like what numbers would look like. And one of the max extension for him, by the time he's able to get to the league and stuff like that, like I was just showing him some wild numbers, and it starts off at like maybe 60 to 70 million a year, and he's like,
Yeah.
that almost made me throw up in my mouth. He was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yes." I was like, "So think about when you get there and you play 4 years in the league and you're eligible for a max extension, and they say you can get $350 million." He's like, "I'm going to the gym
Yeah.
right now." So he go. He left me sitting at the table like, what, like. Because I told him, I said, man, you can make 3 4 times what your daddy made. Like, do you
Yeah.
understand that? He was like, man, he was like, I do now from seeing these numbers. He was like, I'm about to go downstairs right now. So, because we got a gym, like, we have a half court, indoor half court, full
Oh,
weight
that's
room at the
awesome.
house. Like, everything's at the house. It's like basement style. So he's going down there, like, I'm about to put up shots right now. I'm getting on a shooting gun right now. So
That's
it's
awesome.
crazy.
Yeah, he's saying screw that NIL money. He's like, I'm going straight to the league. I need
Hey
that money.
man, he not even worrying about that. He's like, man, I'm trying to get to the big check, like the huge one. He was like, forget that NIL. Yeah, that's cool, but that's if I gotta do it.
Yeah.
But he's like, man, look, I'm trying to get to the real bread.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
crazy.
now even you bring up the big salary increase. That's even going to go up. I'm sure you're trying to keep playing a few more years with this media contract, because that's going to increase everything as well. What are other players in the league thinking about of that? Are these guys getting like smarter business wise around it to go like, listen, here's where it is now. Here's even where it's going to be in a few years. How do we stay prepared? How do we maximize that?
Man, I think like guys now are starting to think about it from a standpoint of like they see how big the NBA contracts is, like, and they're like, man, like, I'm trying to just get there as soon as possible. I'm trying to stay as long as possible. And it's like guys like us, like the 16, 17 year guys, like
Hmm.
like we're in a comfortable position, but we also looking at this money like, man, it's still going up. Like, and they still gonna give me 3 M's for for like just to sit chill. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like we ain't even gonna talk about like the guys like 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 me, Jeff Green, and Al Horford that still can play and still
Right.
provide value to a team. You know what I'm saying? So like guys like that, it's like man, like yeah, we're gonna play as long as possible, just because
Yeah.
it's on fact of like it's still being out there. And then like another thing too about like what's like super common for all three of us is like we're all great guys, right? So we all are great locker room guys. We're not gonna come and try to take over a team, or we're not gonna be barbaric, and we're gonna come in and try to make the team better, try to make all the guys better, continue to uplift them, make sure we're doing all the things to keep that team like this, what I'm saying, tight. So, I think that's what makes it better for us, because like we're in situations where we can literally be a factor on the team just through our voice, as opposed to our actual skill on the court. the skill on the court is that's a great thing for us, just because we still can play. But that voice sometimes is bigger than the skill sometimes.
Yeah, that's interesting. You said barbaric, like you had some other players in mind that might try to do that, which is kind of funny.
I play with a few. I play with a
Yeah,
few, but
I'm sure.
at the end of the day, I know what they were thinking. I was thinking that sometimes it, either it's gonna be them being selfish, or it's gonna be them their barbaric nature is gonna help the team. Sometimes they think it's gonna help, and it might not be helping. Because there's a lot of people in this league now. They can't take criticism. And I think that's one of the biggest things, being able to take criticism. But we also in a different league than we were 5 years ago too.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I mean, no matter what, I think you still got a few more years left in you. I'm sure you want to have a few more years, but at some point, right, the ball is going to start bouncing or stop bouncing. What's the plan after that? You're already kind of thinking about that as well, to go, okay, when this does end, I've already set up some of these things, which we'll get into, but, do you kind of have that idea of like, boom, if it ended today, here's what I'd be doing tomorrow?
Yeah. One, I know, for years on top of years, like, all my wife knows is me walking in and out of the door. So I know I want to take the time there and just make sure that, like, I'm giving her all the time that I need, or that she needs for, for a long period of time, just because, like, I don't want to walk out of one job and then go into the next job. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because the biggest thing is, like, that time that's been lost over the course of time, and that's not just time with her. That's time with the kids. That's time with close family that I have to reconnect with and stuff like that. So just want to take a little bit of time to myself and be with my family and make sure that, like, I'm giving them the time. And then when it's time for me to walk back into this thing, I'm gonna walk back into it. But definitely don't see myself as a coach. I don't want to do that. I know that for a fact. I don't want to coach. I don't want to be going out of the job where I'm traveling 24/7 back into a job that I'm traveling 24/7. I like to pick my own schedule. So I would like to probably go into, like, some front office work. So try to work remote, for a year and a half, and then try to maybe get on with a team and start, like, working on that front office work, and potentially being a GM or a president one day, and being able to kind of, like, put together teams and run whole organizations. I think that's one of the biggest things. I've already did some of the work, by just continuously, like, staying abreast of the situations, understanding the salary cap, the CBA, putting together my own little trades with the trade machine and stuff like that. So I've been doing some work, and then just keeping a connection with all the previous GMs and front office guys and stuff like that, and organizations that I played for, but also connecting with some new ones as well. So it's been really good. Everybody's been receptive to it. A lot of people who I've talked to, they don't see me doing the coaching. They see me doing as a front office guy. So, it's good to see them looking at me for that role, because, if they're looking at me for that role, then it means other people are looking at me in the same way, in the same light. So that's what I want to kind of do after I get out of this thing.
Yeah, and you seem to have a good perspective on a lot of things, not just on the court, but with your kids, with finishing up your career, with, like, already thinking about, hey, I want to do some stuff with the team. I need to be talking to these GMs, all this. Did you learn that from anyone? Is it just natural to you? Like, where did that come from?
I think from day one, I've always had an end goal with this. When I first started out, I said, look, I want to play 5 years. And then that 5 years went to 10. Then that 10 went to 15. And now I'm getting ready to go into year 17. So I'm very thankful and grateful that I've had such a long career, and still able to go out there and play, and still able to go out there and connect with the guys and connect with everybody that I've crossed paths with. But one of the biggest things I've always wanted to do is remain professional throughout the course of my career, and make sure that I'm building those relationships to where, if I wanted to do something around basketball, if I wanted to do something, it'll be on my terms, right? And I think everything that I've been able to do has been on my terms. From signing with different teams to going to different situations and playing in different situations to building these relationships and connections with not just, front office and, but the league office, and building these connections with, multi-billion dollar companies and multi-billion dollar, founders and stuff like that. So, I've been put in a really good situation, and I think I've, taken full advantage of it, and not only, just it working for my benefit, but building and forming and forging a lot of partnerships. I think that's one of the biggest things that's helped me.
Yeah, it's super cool. And somewhere that goes next is Reform Ventures, which you've done. I mean, you go to the website, there's like, your portfolio is incredible at this point. It's got to be, I'm sure you have the exact number, but it's got to be over 100. Where did the idea come from that? And, what was the goal, and where's that going into the future?
Man, I started to get into it early, like probably like 9 years ago. My first investment was in this one company. It was a really good company, I thought, but I didn't really do a lot of the due diligence per se that I needed to do. It was a former Google guy. We was chilling after a game. I think this is like maybe like right around when Uber came out. He was like, I'm working out on it. He was like, yeah, I'm like, I wanted investors in Uber, boom, boom, boom. So I'm like, man, I love that company. You know what I'm saying? And then we started talking, and then he's like, yeah, I sold this company, boom, boom, boom. And then like, he was like, I'm building another one soon, so I'll hit you up when I want some capital and want some investors. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I look at the cap table, I see, some of the Sixer owners on the cap table, some other NBA basketball players, and some other people. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll put 100, 200 grand into this company. But then, that company did well in the beginning for like the first couple of years, and then it just fizzled out, right? But another part of the time, during that time, the company kind of like, it didn't have a moat. And then it also wasn't able to continue to grow with the times. So that company fizzled out, and when that company fizzled out, that's when I realized, like, man, I just lost 200 grand. Like,
Yeah.
like a lot of people don't tell you about the L's they take, right? And
Right.
they tell you about all the success stories. I'm more than willing to tell you about the L's. I'm more than willing to tell you about the wins. I'm pretty sure you want to hear about the L's a little bit more than the wins, because you want to know what not to do. So, I'm more than willing to tell you about it. But, I lost, 200 on that, but I gained another, 400 or 500 on different opportunities, because that one company gave me the opportunity to learn from. And I learned that, if I'm going to do this thing, I need to build it out like an actual company. So I already had a business manager. I already had, people already looking over different things. So I just formed it all into one. I hired 2 investment analysis guys. I had my business manager, which is now my fund manager as well. She's a developer by trade, but she also has an MIT degree, so she's best of both worlds. And then I also hired a retained legal team. And I retained the legal team that I was already doing for all the other little stuff that I was doing, and then just kind of brought it all in-house. And then once I brought it all in-house, I started like running Reform Ventures, as we kind of run as a venture capital private equity company, but we also act as a family office too. So just started doing a bunch of stuff, but my hat goes off to the person who really got me into like thinking about business. And his name was Kenneth Carter. He was my uncle, and he did a really good job of just like teaching me everything. He was a retired lawyer. He passed away on a golf course, but like about 5-6 years ago, and he taught me everything I needed to know about business. He had been teaching me everything since I was 16 years old. He walked into my life. My dad was like, look, I got a son that's really good. You help me. Mm-hmm. He was like, I need you to help him. And he started helping me from day one. And when he started helping me, everything just kind of changed. Like my whole mindset of how I thought about things, from, looking at it from a kid perspective, how to start looking at it from an adult perspective. He would take me and let me intern. He would, like, in the summer, like, I'll spend 2 or 3 weeks with him and his wife. He'll teach me, like, dinner etiquette, table etiquette, all this different stuff. He would make me, like, stand in front of a mirror, media stuff, like, in the mirror. It's just, hey, my name is Thaddeus Young. I love basketball. Like, I would be doing all this different stuff. And then, like, also my high school basketball coach, he had me from all the way from 8th through 12th grade. So he would take me. He started taking me in the ninth grade. His name is Coach Jerry Johnson. He started taking me in the ninth grade to the local middle school because all the kids, they looked up to me as a basketball player, and he would have me do public speaking at that middle school. So like I've been fortunate enough to have some really really good people in my life that really really helped me. And then like obviously like my dad and my mom, they were like super tough parents. My dad, he actually was drafted by the Buffalo Braves a while back, and so I had basketball in my family. My dad is 6'11". So that's why I'm hoping my son is like takes out to him. You know what I'm saying? I tell my dad, I always mess with my dad and tell my dad like, look, you gave me the leftovers, man. I'm 6'8". Like I should have been 7 foot, but he was like, but you got sons though. I was like, "Oh, you're right. So I'm hoping like both my sons are like taller than me and able to like just do way more than me, and they have like long like great careers in basketball. But if they don't, I'm still gonna be happy for them if they became doctors or lawyers or anything else. But no, it's just like I've been fortunate and blessed enough to have so many different people in my life that like really cared about me and really like gave me the tools to be who I am today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's huge for anyone that has those people. Now, curious, because you mentioned, sort of the things you look at of a moat, founders, the learning experience, and then you also said you kind of have a family office, so you're looking at different stuff from real estate to venture deals.
Yep.
Break that down for us a little further. Like, is there certain check sizes, categories you're looking at, stages, and we'll focus more on the venture side at first. Like, what does that breakdown look like?
Man, so okay, so I'm gonna back it up a little bit. So I started getting into this thing, and when I started getting into this thing, after I did that first deal, I had to start figuring out how to mitigate my risk. And how I started mitigating my risk was I started to basically like invest into late stage opportunities and like secondary markets. So people who were already working at big companies like Airbnb, DocuSign, Spotify, 23andMe, like all those companies. And then what I did was I invested into a fund. That fund basically gave me access to be able to co-invest alongside it into different opportunities. So whatever companies I liked, I would just buy more shares into those companies. 18 to 24 months, they are 36 months or whatever, they go public. So when they go public, I cash out on, a 2 or 3x. But those bigger checks that I was putting into it for putting the money into for those 2 or 3x's, I'm getting a couple hundred extra grand. So now I can take this couple hundred extra grand that I'm getting and I'm putting it towards like all these different investments. So I'm putting it towards early and growth stage opportunities. So I started playing with house money early and try to get into a bunch of these different companies. And that's what kind of like put me into this whole mindset of like, okay, like I can invest and mitigate my risk through these opportunities. And then like I would try to like time them all up, right? So like try to time them where it's like, every 1 to 3 years, I'm getting a nice return that I can reinvest because I'm still making basketball money. You know what I'm saying? Still, still getting, money from Nike and all this other stuff. So, so I'm like, all right, let me just reinvest. Like, all right, get a little bit here, reinvest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it started like playing with the house money and then started like reinvesting. And then that's how we kind of like grew this thing out. And I started investing into like funds, and all these funds that I've invested into, I invested into with the basis of it's a partnership, right? Not just me investing into the fund and walking away. So I either get a chance to co-invest with that fund in certain companies that I like. So if that fund is going into Tunnel, I can get a check into Tunnel now as a co-investment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or like we have a partnership where like, they might put us together and syndicate us together with other athletes and stuff like that for deals. Or, just forming a partnership with the founders. They give me direct access to the founders. So that's how we started kind of like building this thing out. So we're invested into probably 250 to 300 companies, but a lot of them are through funds and fund of funds and syndications. But direct investments, like check straight from me to those companies, we're probably in like maybe 80 or 90 of those, that 300.
Got you.
which is
So
which is still a great number. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
it's still like 33%. Yeah, no,
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's a good strategy. Did you come up with that yourself, or did someone teach you that kind of to go, hey, do this 1 to 3 year thing? Then now
No
you're
one.
playing with kind of these
No,
capital gains almost.
no. So like all this is like based upon like my theory and knowledge.
Hmm.
Just and I got all this theory and knowledge just from like always educating myself on all the different stuff that I wanted to invest in or what I wanted to do. So I never do anything just like off the whim, right?
Hmm.
So I always like go and like look at like okay, like if I want to get into venture capital, okay, how does it work? You know what I'm saying? I want to do real estate. How does it work? You know what I'm saying? How are people flipping? You know what I'm saying? So my biggest thing was always trying to figure out how to mitigate my risk over the course of time, but how to like still be able to make some good returns on top of the money. Because like I always tell people like this, like I don't want the whole pie, I just want a piece of it.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people are greedy and they want the whole
Yeah.
pie. They want to just take the whole thing. But if I only take a piece of it and I leave pieces for others, they're going to help me.
Hmm.
And then eventually, those little pieces is going to turn into a whole pie. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's how like I always try to do it. Like just take a piece of the pie, like work with others. If the business deals go good, then we all are eating at the same time. And I believe in bringing people to the table to eat with me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great perspective. Yeah, because like you said, the slices add up to one pie, multiple pies. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's showing some wisdom right there. That's some good stuff. And now, of any of those, like every 3 years going into more earlier stage, some of your owns, are there any that stand out or any that have hit from that standpoint that are those like 10, 20, 30x
Man,
earlier stage ones?
man. So like Coinbase was a really good one for me.
Hmm.
So Coinbase, DraftKings, Airbnb, which I'm still holding my Airbnb stock because I think that's
Yep.
going to like still eventually like go crazy. Lyft did well for me. And then like I was able to get like a bunch of shares in like Zoom and all that stuff. So like that like all those like really put me in like a really good space to where I had a whole bunch of like house money to play with. Like someone was like came out to be like eights and 10x's and 11s and 12s. Might have seen like a 15x on some. I think like my biggest one was like a 20x return on one of the companies, but like those all like did well for me, and I was like, man, like if I can continue to do this, like I could, like it's gonna like I could just make this be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like yeah, you want to see like the 300 X's and 1,000 X's and stuff like that. But when I look at stuff that I think that if I can get a 4x or better, I'm good. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like I said, I'm not going for the gusto. You know what I'm saying? I've already
Right.
hit my lottery ticket 4 times already with the NBA contracts. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So if I hit that lottery ticket already and I'm good, and I'm straight, then whatever I'm playing with on the outside part of it is just it's just me like doing what I do, like having fun. Like I love investing. I love what I love most about investing is I get a chance to meet like new people. I get a chance to see what their minds is and
Hmm.
like what all these thought leaders are thinking about like moving forward and how they're going to continue to like build the company. And and some of these people are really really intriguing. Like you build some
Yeah.
relationship with some really really dope founders, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, man, like how like they thinking on a whole nother level.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's awesome. Now, you have some sports investments too. Any particular companies in that space that you find interesting, or are you looking at that industry more now?
You talking about like you
What
talking about like sports tech or like sports
sports
like
tech,
team.
sports, like I
Okay.
know, like we'll start with this more sports tech. So I know like Plantiga,
Okay.
Hoop, you're in a few of those companies. What are you like?
Yeah.
What intrigued you on? I don't know. You can break down a few of those. Like, is it found? Like, what
Mhm.
are you looking for in like a sports tech investment? Because we do have a lot of sports founders that listen to this. I'm sure they'd be curious, like your opinion of
Well,
like something you're looking for and why you would find that attractive.
I start with Plantiga. Plantiga I thought was very very attractive just for the simple fact of like they're doing something that nobody else is doing. Like the sensors and like I think like the only people that's like tried to do it was like Nike with like the sensors in the shoe, but that like tracks your time you're running and all that. But what
Hmm.
Plantiga is doing, is is on a whole different level where like the sensors in your orthotics, like it basically what it does is like it tracks like the amount of force that you're using, the hip symmetry, like it does like all this biometrical stuff that like no other shoe or orthotic or anything is doing. Like it's giving you basically like real time data for like basketball games, soccer games, football, like all this different stuff, just by like having those sensors. And I actually tried them out in practice and stuff like that, and it's like super super accurate. Like it was telling me like, oh, like your right hip is tighter than your left hip, and I'm like, oh shit, like like this works. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's right.
and then it's like telling you like, oh, you ran 5 miles today, and most of those miles, your right leg was dragging behind because of your hip symmetry. So you need to work on more of your hip symmetry, and then like the amount of force that you're using on turns and cuts and stuff like that, like from like also like jumping up and down, and like nobody like has been tracking the amount of force from a standpoint of like going side to side or like pushing off and turning and pivoting. And that's what they're working towards doing, or like they are doing it right now. And most people who use force plate technology is all straight up and down. So you're looking at the amount of force that's going straight up and down as opposed to like moving and cutting. And for athletes, we do more moving and cutting than going straight up and down. So so
Right.
I looked at that and I thought that was like really really good. I thought that can help with like government. I thought it can help with sports. Like I think it can help with like runners and like just everything in general. Walking, like everything. So it's a real opportunity there, and I think that like they're going to figure that thing out. And then I've also patched them in with like other companies and stuff like that that I thought would be of help, and that and I thought would be like really really good for them. Hoop, I love Hoop. Like I think Hoop is like one of the dopest products that I've seen.
Paul,
Um,
Paul and Life, man. Paul and
yeah,
Life, they're the guys.
right. They that Hoop is crazy. Like the ability to put a screen inside of the backboard that can track all of the data and analytics, and then like I was actually trying to patch them and Shoot 360 together because I'm an investor into Shoot 360 as well. So like I like it.
Yeah.
I just like I love what they're gonna be able to do. Like I think they're gonna kill it. Just for the simple fact of like the basketball hoop market is just so big and nobody even knows it. Like it's so many people with
Mm.
basketball hoops outside that like, but now you're adding the features that everybody want at their house. Like you're adding the ability to go outside and watch the finals on the hoop while you're shooting shots at a barbecue, right? And tracking your shots and tracking the data and looking at the greens and the reds and getting all these different scans that come to your phone through
Mm.
the app, and then like being able to actually play against somebody else with a hoop on the other side of the globe as well, or like even connecting with them and being able to talk, even being able to talk shit to each other like through the hoop. You know what I'm saying? Like crazy. And then I was just telling them like, man, like if you guys can figure this part, like because like we've been working on some different stuff as well. So where like if they get into a bunch of gyms, like continuously like keeping that thing rolling, like keeping the pipeline going, and like I just like I love it. I think they're gonna be able to do some big things. Another company I'm super excited about is this company called Oxfit. Um, I don't know if you heard about Oxfit, but they're
Heard of
I
it,
think they're
don't know
gonna
too
crush it.
much.
I think they're gonna crush it. They're like the tunnel on steroids, right? Like they have like they have force plate technology inside of it as well. They have a commercial model for all like the big gyms, the sports facilities and stuff like that, but they also have a residential model that does the residential model does skiing, canoeing, rowing, paddle boat. They have gamification. It tracks. It has force plates. It tracks you know, it has an adaptive system. So like if you're lifting weights, it adapts to how you lift weights. Um, it has everything. Like I've Never seen a product like this. And the founder is like super dope. Like Rap, he's when I say super dope, like Rap has sold like 3 companies in the past like 10 or 15 years, all billion-dollar companies. Like crazy. He's built everything from scratch himself. He's a founder that doesn't sleep. And them the guys
That's
that
incredible.
you look for,
Now,
like, and that you love.
something else you've
like,
done recently,
when he starts to
as
beat
we'll
off
kind of
and
wrap it up
this
here
is
after
me,
this question,
and he
but
shows like
you,
his returns on his last 3
are part owner
companies.
in the Brisbane Bullets.
Like you like, man,
and
like, come
we're
on.
seeing a lot of other teams get into
Are you
team
serious?
ownership.
Like, you looking at
what was
a
your thought process
200x,
around
a
that one,
300x,
owning a
a
team
100x,
and
and
you see
looking
more
at
of
it
that in
just
your
going
future?
and going and going. It's like, damn, like, you know what? When you want my money, hello.